I have the ability to punch and power to get in and knock out middleweights.
Let me tell you, I didn't come here for all this bull, jiving, and shucking. I come here to fight. I came here with one thing on my mind, and that is destroy Tommy Hearns.
I've been fighting light heavyweights and taking good care of them. And now I'm going up against a midget.
Finally, on April 15th, after all the hype, two proud champions descended on an outdoor arena and settled their dispute. It was one for the record books.
I'm just cautioning you now. Obey my command at all times. Shake hands, good luck to both of you.
And he caught Hagler with two good jabs and a right hand that might have hurt Hagler. Tremendous pace in the first round.
Don't worry about the cut. He's got to keep pumping like that, Marvin. Got to keep pumping, understand?
Hagler goes in for the kill now.
He's gone.
Down, and he may be out.
Still, undisputed middleweight champion of the world, Marvin Hagler.
Tonight, we'll take you back to that historic night in Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas, Nevada, where two courageous boxers collided in one of the fiercest fights in boxing history. Marvelous Marvin Hagler versus Thomas Hearns.
Hello, everybody. I'm Barry Tompkins, along with Sugar Ray Leonard, and welcome to HBO's exclusive broadcast of The Fight, the middleweight championship fight between marvelous Marvin Hagler and Thomas Hearns that took place on April 15th in Las Vegas. Tonight, we're going to be reliving all the great moments of that fight. We'll watch it, first of all, from beginning to end with our ringside commentary. We will have both combatants with us, and we'll be talking to them about their impressions of just what went on that night in Las Vegas. And we'll look at the fight once more from beginning to end from a ringside camera. We will be looking at all angles of this fight, and we'll talk to the people who participated in it. It was a fight to remember. Ray, I've never seen you as excited about a fight, either going into a fight or coming out of a fight, and I think that even includes when you were fighting yourself.
Barry, I'm still pumped up. In fact, these guys, I commend both of them because they gave boxing the positive injection that it needed: excitement, determination, and most of all, sportsmanship.
Well, with us via satellite, first of all, up at WGBH in Boston, the champion, marvelous Marvin Hagler, and at WDIV in the city of Detroit, the challenger, Thomas Hearns. And we want to welcome both of you gentlemen. Marvin, let me ask you first of all, when you fought Roberto Duran, there was some criticism. People said, well, Marvin was a little bit cautious. He really didn't impress anybody. No doubt about it now, you really made all the amends. Did you have that in the back of your mind, Marvin?
Well, basically, you know, as you know, during the whole tour and whatever, Roberto Duran came up with every conversation. As you know, I've told the media that Roberto Duran was history right now, and Thomas Hearns was my future. And that's basically what I wanted to concentrate on.
You know, Tommy, your career was on an upswing when you knocked out Roberto Duran, and quite naturally, a win over Hagler would have added to your momentum. I predicted after the fight that you would retire. How do you respond?
Well, right now, Ray, I'm undecided. I haven't made my mind what I want to do at this moment. Maybe I'm thinking about waiting till my hand heal and make my decision then, because my thoughts are now to retire from boxing and hopefully to go into acting, to start a new career.
Marvin, let me ask you once more, again going back to the Roberto Duran fight. After the fight, you said, come on guys, you got to give it to me. This time you didn't have to ask anybody. Everybody has given it to you.
No, I felt as though that it should have been given to me after the Roberto Duran fight, but it wasn't. This fight here, like you say, the people, I think the world is still in an upswing. You know, everyone's very excited about the fight because, as you know, it takes two to really put on a great fight. And I feel as though that now things are finally going to start looking very good for Marvin Hagler, but I'm also interested in the acting career also. But I think, first of all, I like to knock on the door of Carlos Monzon to really make history.
Tom, I must ask you, you surprised a lot of people the way you approached this fight. People expect you to box, and I understand that you broke your hand the very first round. Why did you continue to get in a slugfest with Hagler?
Well, because, you know, every man wants to establish their territory or what have you. And I wanted to show Marvin that I had the ability, that I demand my respect in the fight, because if you go into a fight and you don't show a man that you deserve respect, then he's just going to run all over you.
Well,
and I wanted to show him that I demand my respect.
What is the condition of your hand now?
Right now, I have, I'm sitting here with a cast on. I have 2 bones broken in my right hand. And they told me that I'll probably be wearing a cast now for 6 weeks. And then after that, it's just going into just strengthening my hand up for probably a month or so, how long it takes to get the strength back into my hand. Just going to physical therapy.
Ray, you used the word slugfest, and I think really that is absolutely the right word. Slugfest, if anything, is an understatement. The first round, maybe the greatest round in the history of boxing, and that may not be an understatement. Let's go back then and watch the fight from beginning to end.
This is the famous Strip in Las Vegas, Nevada, the host city for boxing's historic events. As usual, the battle in the ring has transcended the world of sports. This, on this night, is the only place to be. It's a happening where the stars like Bo Derek and Jack Nicholson rub elbows with the legends of boxing's past to salute 2 great boxing champions. Tonight from Caesars Palace in Las Vegas, Nevada, HBO Sports presents World Championship Boxing. Undisputed Middleweight champion Marvelous Marvin Hagler defends his crown against WBC's Super Welterweight champion Thomas Hearns. 3 years in the making, and now we come down to the night of reckoning here in Las Vegas. And Ray, let's talk about the big fight. Both of these men have been in a big fight before, and the simple fact is, when Tommy Hearns lost to you, he essentially lost it for a year. It took him that long to come back. Who'll deal with the big event better?
Well, I think Tommy Hearns is prepared for it mostly because Hagler experienced the big event with Roberto Duran, and it nearly cost him his title. I think the question to bring out whether or not Marvin Hagler can deal with this kind of event.
A lot of people are saying that the key to this fight will be the first time that Tommy Hearns gets the right hand on Marvin Hagler.
I would agree, Barry. I think once Tommy Hearns lands the right hand on Marvin Hagler's chin and Hagler stands there and says, "This is it," we're going to see a whole change in the entire fight.
There is one other question to be answered tonight, too, other than the obvious, and that is, will the event be bigger than the fight? Well, with some comments on the magnitude of this fight, here's our own Larry Merchant. Larry?
Hollywood, or at least part of Hollywood, is here. And for many months, people I didn't even know were interested in boxing have been calling me for ringside seats at any price. And telephone operators, before they put me through, asked me, Hagler or Hearns? I've been puzzling over this phenomenon, over why this major fight has become a major event, because neither Tommy Hearns nor Marvin Hagler has ever had box office magic by himself. Neither of them transcend boxing as public figures in the way that Muhammad Ali and Ray Leonard did. Nor is there any good versus evil or black versus white hype to this fight. What is it then? What I come up with is this. It's great to want to be great. And it's widely recognized in the sports world, if not beyond it, that these 2 quality athletes desperately want to be great. And tonight, man to man, they'll decide which one of them is the best at his trade. Whom you like depends on how you can resolve this equation. Hagler is the strongest fighter Hearns has ever fought. Hearns is the best fighter Hagler has ever fought. We're here to get the answer. Now back to Barry and Ray.
And the entourage now of Thomas Hearns making its way toward the ring here. And Hearns, of course, surrounded by many admirers from the city of Detroit. And there's a good look at Thomas Hearns. Ray, interesting to note, he was very, very loose when we saw him in his locker room before the fight.
Well, Tom looked very relaxed, very confident. And he didn't have that intense look on his face. He seemed to know exactly where he was and exactly what's going to happen.
And so Thomas Hearns looking all business, of course, and it has been the want of Marvelous Marvin Hagler to make his opponent wait in the ring. And, of course, everyone having anything to do with this fight will try to avoid just such a circumstance. Got to be a definite case of nerves on both parts here. And Larry Merchant, we talked briefly with Sugar Ray Leonard at the start of this program about just how each man holds up to the big event. I'm sure you have some thoughts on that subject.
I don't see any reason to question at this stage of their careers that they can't handle an event of this magnitude, and that's one of the reasons why it's become such a big event, that they have proven themselves and that everybody expects to see a contest here, like all fights, decided on the merits of the fighters, decided by their strength, decided by their styles, decided by their will. Those are the factors that will decide this fight.
It's a long trip, Ray, from the locker room into the ring here at Caesars Palace, set up here in the parking lot. What are the thoughts that a fighter has making this long journey through the crowd?
Well, Barry, so many things go through a fighter's mind, especially once he's headed towards the ring. The fact of the matter is, all the things that he said, all the verbal assaults that he's made against his opponent or challenger, whether or not he can live up to that. With Tommy made a lot of verbal assaults to Hagler, and Hagler did the same thing. But people think there's going to be a fill-out process. I think something's going to happen in the very first round because these guys know there's so much at stake.
Larry Merchant, let me ask you one thing. There was some speculation during the course of this past week here in Las Vegas that Tommy Hearns might have done some damage to an already injured right hand. Any elaboration on that?
I don't know of anything that's factual. Everybody knows that he's had some problems along the way with his hands. You know, he has the build of a thoroughbred, and sometimes he hits people on the head, and his hands have hurt. And as you recall, he was once laid off for many months because of a hand injury, and I think he wears extra protection for his hand when he's sparring. So perhaps that gave some speculation to that there was something wrong with the hand.
Hagler coming toward the ring now. His trainers, the Petronellis, they've been together for 18 long years. And this, of course, is the culmination of 18 years of hard work. Marvelous Marvin Hagler, of course, he had his game face on, Ray, somewhere around Thursday.
And he appeared to be very relaxed. He was able to talk to the press and meet with some of his fans.
He's very, very serious about this. No joviality as there was in the locker room of Thomas Hearns a little bit earlier. Marvin Hagler has been business since we got here on Thursday. He has done the obligatories, as you mentioned. He's talked to the press, and the crowd definitely seems to be more in support of the champion than they do the challenger Thomas Hearns.
The crowd is very supportive of Hagler. And another thing to bring out, this fight here, because Hagler searches for recognition, he thought he would get it after Roberto Duran, but I think this fight here has enough significance to give Hagler what he wants and what he desires.
People are saying that he was too conservative against Roberto Duran, and you have to have the feeling that tonight he cannot be conservative.
He can't be. He has to be aggressive. He has to initiate authority right away. And again, Barry, the first round will be a key round to pretty much know what's going to happen in the fight.
There's a look at the record of Marvelous Marvin Hagler, 62-2. He's got 50 knockouts. This, of course, is 11th title defense. He dearly wants to break the record set by Carlos Monzon. So that is the story of Marvelous Marvin Hagler. Historically, Tommy Hearns has been the faster starter of the two.
Well, Tommy has always jumped on top of his opponents because he's always overshadows his opponents because of his height and reach advantage.
Here's a look at the tail of the tape, and you talk about the reach advantage, and it's really not quite as great as you might have expected. Really only a 3-inch reach advantage for Thomas Hearns over Marvin Hagler.
I'd like to make a comment about the weight. When Tommy Hearns fought Ray Leonard, he weighed less than Ray Leonard, trying to prove he was a real welterweight. Now he weighs more than Hagler, trying to prove he's a real middleweight.
And here's a look at the common opponents of these two. And again, there's little to choose. Roberto Duran probably the most significant, but perhaps Thomas Hearns got Duran a little bit more on a down than he did on an up. And here, of course, is that tool that we've been using here at HBO for now 3 occasions.
Yeah, this is our computer toy, and it will give you some kind of a look at how many punches these fellas throw. You see Hagler against Duran, Hagler against Hampshire, roughly 50 punches per round. The same thing for Hearns, as you'll notice. Roughly 50 punches per round, landing somewhere between 20 and 30. So that'll be some kind of yardstick as we move along.
And the rules for tonight's fight, and they are as most championship fights, the 10-point must system. 3 knockdown rule, of course, is waived. So too the standing 8 count. There will be no standing 8 count. You can only be saved by the bell in the final round. 3 judges, of course, scoring the fight. That has been a bone of contention, incidentally, with Marvin Hagler. But right now, what's left really is to get on with it. So let's go up to the ring announcer, Chuck Hull, for all the pre-fight festivities.
Ladies and gentlemen, the officials assigned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission for the next event of the evening. The judges are Dick Young of Los Angeles, California, Herb Santos of Reno, Nevada, and Harry Gibbs of England. The timekeeper is Charlie Roth, counting at the knockdowns Jane Broadfoot. The attending physicians at ringside, Doctors Donald Romeo, Flip Omansky, and Charles Filippini. Your referee for the next event of the evening is Mr. Richard Steele. This is the main event of the night. 12 rounds of boxing for the Undisputed Middleweight Championship of the World. Introducing, in the red corner, the challenger, the WBC Super Welterweight Champion, fighting out of Detroit, Michigan, weighing 159 3/4 pounds. His professional record consists of 40 wins, 1 defeat, with 34 KOs. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Thomas the Hitman Hearns. And in the blue corner, fighting out of Brockton, Massachusetts, weighing 159 1/4 pounds, with a professional record of 60 wins, 2 defeats, 2 draws, and 50 KOs. Ladies and gentlemen, the undisputed middleweight champion of the world, Marvelous Marvin Hagler.
All right, Pat. Pat. Good eight. Let's go. Okay, I gave both fighters their instructions in the dressing room. I'm just cautioning you now. Obey my command at all times. Shake hands. Good luck to both of you.
As Ray said, Tommy Hearns usually likes to establish dominance early in the fight. I expect for that reason that Marvin Hagler will look to come on and counterpunch, at least in his first and perhaps through the first several rounds, looking for an opening if Hearns opens himself up.
The early rounds could really dictate how this fight will go.
The first round is the key round.
We're underway. And the pace is up-tempo right at the opening bell.
Hagler being the aggressor.
Hearns working that jab. He has a very quick jab. There's no denying it. And he caught Hagler with 2 good jabs and a right hand that might have hurt Hagler. Tremendous pace in the first round.
I expected this, Barry. Both guys are going at it.
Hearns getting the better of it right now. No nonsense at all here. And a left hand by Hagler. What a pace.
You know, both the guys just winging shots, so whoever gets caught in the chin,
There was a
may go down.
left hand by Hagler, and it stood Hearns straight up. And a right hand. Both men have felt the wrath of the other.
Tommy is hurt. His legs a little shaky, unsteady.
And a left hand by Hearns. Threw that off his back foot, though. There's the short right.
Hagler now just uses defense. He's walking towards Hearns. He's doing the right thing now. Hearns is on his bicycle. Hagler now is going to his body.
Remember, Roldan caught Marvin Hagler early on also. There's another good straight right hand by Hagler, and another.
Now Hearns is using his movements. He's trying to throw Hagler off balance.
Hearns coming with a right hand lead that time.
Both fighters are really off balance.
Hagler leading with the right hand, but he's kind of lunging with it. There's another right hand, backs Hearns into the ropes.
Watch for Hagler's hook.
Now that was the right hand of Tommy Hearns, and it did catch Hagler, but he didn't take a backward step there. Another good right hand by Hearns.
Hagler working the body now, trying to slow Tommy down. These guys are exerting a great deal of energy, Barry.
Tremendous pace in the first round. Blood coming from the face of Marvin Hagler. Can't tell yet where it's coming from. We'll see.
Both guys will definitely be winded in the next round.
It is over the right eye, I believe, of Marvin Hagler. We'll wait till we get him. And there's a lot of blood early on here. An awful lot of blood on the face of Marvin Hagler. It is in a place where it could do serious damage. We'll know between rounds when we get into the corner. Hagler punishing Hearns now. But it is Hagler who is bleeding. This is still the first round.
The second round, these guys will definitely pace themselves. There has been no boxing at all, just fighting here.
Just slugging. Blood on the face of Marvin Hagler. Again, we can't quite tell where it's coming from while Hagler continues to dish out punishment. And now Hearns bounces right back. This may be the most brutal, even round you've ever seen in boxing.
That's as good as it ever gets, folks. I doubt that there's ever been a better middleweight round than that one. The question is now the cut over Marvin Hagler's eye. It looks to be higher on his brow.
The question also remains, who spent the most energy?
In my judgment, Ray, the surprise of that round was the fact that Marvin hit Hearns some excellent shots and didn't shake him. There's always been a question since your fight with Hearns whether he could take these kinds of punches. Marvin has decided to try to assert his strength as a natural middleweight over Hearns, and at least in that round, he didn't.
And now Tommy Hearns has a target.
Hold it. And the key man in this fight can now be the corner. Hagler comes out with a quick right hand. It is not a pace that can go on for 12 rounds. There's no question about that. Regardless of how well conditioned these two are.
That's a fuck.
You know, the first round, these guys did not use their boxing skills. They just went in there and just unleashed all kinds of punches. They were off balance. This time, Hearns, second round, Hearns is pretty much using his skill. He's boxing.
I believe, as Larry Merchant said, that both men have taken the best shot of the other. That was on the top of the head.
That's the punch I'm looking for to Hagler pretty much landing on Tommy. The hook. Because Tommy has a tendency to lean back. And Hagler comes with that looping right hook.
There is a swelling under the eye of Marvin Hagler as well, and also a little bit of blood under as well as over it. There's a left hand by Hagler, backs Hearns up.
Again, Tommy is more so the one-punch knockout, whereas Marvin is an accumulation of punches.
There's another straight right hand. That one also hurt Thomas Hearns. Hearns backs up, gets his breath, and comes right back. Hagler has been effective with a right-hand lead.
I like Marvin's tactic so far. He's walking his man down, keeping those hands high.
Thomas Hearns fighting a very effective fight so far. He has Marvin Hagler cut. The cut is really more above the nose than it is over the eye, although it can cause him problems. There's no question about that. There's also a little blood on the bottom.
What Hagler wants to do, he wants to get Tommy against the ropes. I don't like when Tommy's moving. He's really off balance. He's not moving with good balance.
All right, good. Step back, step back.
1 minute remaining here in the second round. Hearns leading with the right hand. Both men leading with the right
Tommy
hand.
just put both feet together. Very dangerous. Look at him. He's off balance.
He's awkward. He definitely is awkward.
This is when Hagler needs to throw that hook. Tommy's just standing right in front of Marvin.
Hearns said he had to keep that foot outside of Hagler to be effective with the jab.
That was a hook.
Good left hook, and Hearns left his feet. Hearns is hurt.
That was a hook again, Barry.
Hearns is definitely hurt.
He is definitely hurt. And now this is when Marvin should take control.
Hearns was holding Marvin Hagler's right hand there. Now he tries to fight back. Takes the right hand. Takes the left hand. Hearns against the ropes. He's on rubber legs. Another good right hand by Hagler.
Now this is when Hagler really goes to work. Tommy shouldn't be here against the ropes.
Trying to weather the storm here in round 2. Big round for Marvin Hagler.
Hagler was really on with it. Watch Tommy legs as he walks back to his corner. Whether he's steady. A little rubbery leg.
Once again, Marvin Hagler hit Hearns some of his best shots, but there the accumulation of shots seemed to have some impact as that round wore on.
Trying to work on letting him miss with the left and going over here and then coming back with the right.
You got to cut a band.
This boxing. Still in boxing. This boxing. Let's get your second win and relax like nothing to do with Colin Jones. Let's think carefully. This boxing, when you get through with your shot, move off to one side or the other. You'll get hit on tail end punches. You understand?
Don't worry about the cut, man. You had him going, man. Don't worry about the cut. Just gotta keep pumping like that, man. Gotta keep pumping, understand?
Okay, go ahead. Get him out.
Right?
All right.
Well, there's no question the two most prevalent words on the lips of the 15,000 here at Caesar's Palace have got to be great fight so far. This entire crowd here, as a matter of fact, collectively is on its feet as we start the third round. Richard Steele says don't push.
What has happened, Marvin has turned this fight into a street fight. He's not really boxing, he's just pretty much using his own strength. You notice Marvin punches, they fell short. He's onward from throwing all those punches in the second round.
Hagler getting the jab in early here in the third round. He hasn't used the jab much. He's gone with a right-hand lead. He's throwing punches off his back foot.
Tommy just held Hagler on his head, which meant that he really doesn't know where he is.
Tommy Hearns occasionally, at least to me, Ray, just looks to be awkward. He just seems to get his legs tied up.
Well, he really is awkward, and because of his height advantage.
And now we're going to get a moment for the doctor to come in as that cut just opened up.
It's not bothering your fight. No, it's not bothering his side. Let him go.
Bang.
A lot of blood on the face of Marvin Hagler, and let's see if he just doesn't try to do some serious business or just get through. That jab of Hearns is effective, even though he's throwing it off the back foot. A good right hand by Hagler drives Hearns into the ropes once more.
Tommy can't take too much of this. And again, it's a matter of accumulation of punches thrown by Hagler, which is probably wearing Tommy down.
I'm sure Marvin feels that he has got to hurry things up here because that cut is not going to get any better. There's no question about it. Right hand sends Hearns. He doesn't know where he is. Hagler goes in for the kill now.
He's gone. He's gone.
He's down, and he may be out. I'm not sure he can make it. 9, and he's up. He's up at 9. He doesn't know where he is. It's over. This one is history. Marvin Hagler, a tremendous victory. And there will be no doubters in this one.
I said it. I felt something. It was a gut feeling, Barry, that it wouldn't go past 3 rounds. Or 5 rounds.
And the cuts seem to have no effect. I don't think there's any question, Ray, but that Hagler hurt Hearns in the second round.
Well, see, Hagler initially authority right from the very first round. He stayed on top of Tommy. Tommy tried to exchange punch for punch. He couldn't do that. I stated earlier that Tommy should use his skill, box his man.
Tommy Hearns being carried back to his corner now by his handlers. And obviously a beaten fighter.
I also stated if Tommy Hearns should lose this fight in the fashion in which it happened, he will retire.
Well, it took him, we were talking about this before the fight, Ray. It took Tommy Hearns a year to recover from the beating that you gave him.
And this was worse because he was knocked out cold.
And Marvin Hagler was simply dominant. Let's take another look at it, Ray. And I think this, as Larry Merchant mentioned, it was a cumulative effect.
And it wasn't really boxing that was at stake. It was just a matter of Hagler fighting the type of street fight. He stayed on top of Tommy. Tommy here's on Queer Street. Hagler, a good finisher.
You saw that right hand. I think you made a key point there, too. Hagler is a good finisher, and he really knows, although this was obvious, when his man is hurt.
Well, here, Tommy's eyes rolling around. He was definitely hurt. Here we have another shot. And the right hook, which was the key punch, and I made that point earlier, that would be the punch that would pretty much put Hearns out.
Well, another thing that we talked about, too, the first time that Thomas Hearns hit Marvin Hagler with the right hand, Hagler didn't step back.
But a couple times, Marvin was shaken by Tommy's right hand. And after a while, I knew after accumulation of punches to the body, to the head, and Tommy would retreat, that it was more so in Hagler's favor.
Well, it's a tremendous victory. And Marvin Hagler, after he fought Roberto Duran here, really wanted the recognition as the great middleweight. And frankly, it wasn't a great fight. I don't see how anybody could not acknowledge the fact that Marvin Hagler was a marvelous, to coin a phrase, use his name, marvelous middleweight champion.
A very proud champion, a very dedicated champion, and he proved that. But again, this fight did not show boxing skill. It was just a matter of hard determination and a great deal of power.
But the fact is, we've seen Marvin Hagler when he does show good boxing skill.
Well, again, Barry, take a look, and that right hook put Hearns on Queer Street. Tommy here is hurt. Doesn't know exactly where he is. His hand, look at his hands. His hands are dropped. And there's a couple punches that put him down.
And Thomas Hearns is looking for a place to fall down after that right hook. It landed above the eye, it looked like, on the side of the head. It was a tremendous punch. But again, it was just that one punch on top of all the other punches.
Well, both fighters claimed it was going to end in 3 rounds, and the prediction came true.
They were absolutely right. Right now, let's go up to the ring announcer. Chuck Hull will get the official decision.
Referee Richard Steele. stops the bout at 2 minutes, 1 second of the third round. The winner by a TKO and still undisputed middleweight champion of the world, Marvelous Marvin Hagler.
Right now, let's go up to the ring where Larry Merchant is with the champion. Larry?
Marvin, why did you decide to come out uncharacteristically so bold in this fight?
Well, because Tommy had a big mouth. He's been woofing all through this tour. How much you gonna put me away in 3 rounds? I said, let me tell you, you're gonna get it in 3 rounds. And it came true. We both had 3rd-round predictions, but I figured that I would cruise off a little bit and let the knockout come. But I had power in both hands tonight, and as you know, I started off right-handed, showing him. I think I kind of confused him a little bit, and then came back southpaw and put the ammo on him.
Did you feel that you are naturally stronger and you didn't want to let him start off fast like he usually does?
Naturally, that's what he does. He sets the tempo of the fight. He relaxes out there. People are afraid of him, and I showed him that I wasn't afraid. If anybody got to be scared, you better be scared of me.
And, of course, he can't punch as hard if he's backing up.
First of all, let me say I want to thank God for giving me the strength, the courage, you know, and the confidence to know that I can go in here and take this man out. I trained very hard, and I want to thank all my sparring partners who participated and get me in the greatest shape of my life. I felt better than when I fought Duran, and I told you one thing what I would do. I'll reverse what happened to Roberto Duran. I want him to taste and see what it feels like. He definitely tried to put the bomb on me.
How was it? Could he punch? You've been in with a lot of middleweights.
Definitely, he can punch, and you know, I wasn't going to stand there like I told you, like a statue. I had to work on the body, didn't come up with the head.
Now, he took some of your best shots in those first 2 rounds. Were you surprised by that?
No, because I started slowing him down. He started feeling the wear and tear, and I just hope that I can keep my drilling flowing and keep the pressure on him. I see that he was getting tired, and I knew that I had the opportunity in the 3rd round to put him away.
You had what looked like a nasty gash.
Yeah,
it may not be as dangerous. Now, what
I
were you
got the best man in the corner. He told me not to worry. I'm not worried. But I just go out and do my job.
But the blood was pouring down your face, so did that make it even more urgent for you?
When the blood come on me, it'll make me meaner. I tell you, when I see blood, I get meaner. You know, they better hope that I never bleed, because then I know that it's time to go to work, and I got shorter time to do it, so I got to do it fast.
You've beaten what many people consider the best opponent you've ever faced. You've now defended your title.
The winner of this fight will go down in history as the greatest fighter. I want to hear you say that, Larry, because I told you a long time ago that I was a great fighter. You said, not yet. Not yet, you said. You still got to prove yourself. Well, did I do that tonight?
I'd have to say that...
Hi, baby.
Yeah, that's a little baby.
Yeah, see Daddy Boo-Boos?
Yeah, well, all she knows is that Daddy has some boo-boos.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what does Daddy have planned for the future? Are you going to go after Monzone's
I'm going to try for Monzone's record.
14 defenses.
Get rid of the toughest opponent out there right now. I'm going to take a little rest, let my people and I come up with something else. Hopefully, if the money's right. You know,
can you stay hungry with all that money in the bank?
I told you I've been hungry, and I had to keep the desire. These little girls like this, I'm waiting to send her to school, to college one day, so I got to keep pumping. In 10 years, who knows what the money will be to go to school.
Thank you so much, Marvin Hagler.
Take the baby with you. Take the baby with you.
Well, we've talked about just how marvelous Marvin Hagler was tonight. Ray, let's talk about the other side of the coin, Thomas Hearns. While Richard Steele was still over Thomas Hearns counting 8-9, you were writing a note, and what your note said was, Thomas Hearns will retire. Now, was that just something you'd like him to do, or do you really feel he will?
But I think that's something he will do, because that knockout was too devastating for Thomas to swallow. So much was at stake, his career, his ego. And I think those two things will play a major role in his decision-making.
Well, time will be the judge of that. Right now, let's go to Larry Merchant, who's in the solitude of Marvin Hagler's now deserted locker room, for his final thoughts on tonight's fight.
During this thrilling, furious battle, I found my mind wandering for split seconds, wondering, could Zale and Graciano have been this good? Could Rocky have been this good when they were just making it up and winging it and landing the kind of punches you know they never land in a real fight, because fighters can't take those kinds of punches. In this fight, they did. It was one of those rare spectacles where two fighters went out to impose their wills and their strength on each other and to take risk, to risk everything, to win everything. That's why those of us who like boxing like it. We wait for these kinds of events when people at the top level give everything they have. And what we saw tonight will be stamped indelibly, and for a generation to come, I think it will be a yardstick of fighting at its most furious and thrilling.
Well, there's no question about it, Larry. It's a fight that will be etched in the memory of everyone who was there. 15,000 people on hand at Caesars Palace. And you know 10 years from now there's going to be 150,000 people who will swear that they were there at Caesars Palace on April 15th, 1985. Well, as we mentioned, with us, the champion, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, and the challenger, Thomas Hearns. No loser in this fight, believe me. Marvin, I have to ask you, when you got cut, when you sensed your own blood, did that change things for you? Did you feel at that point you had to go after Tommy?
Well, basically, there was a lot of things online there, and when you find a little blood, basically, I wasn't too worried because I know I have a great cornerman, and basically just wanted to get back to the round, get back to the corner, and let him take care of it. But it did up the tempo a little better for me, and that's basically what I had to do, was to take some punches to order to get some and keep the pressure on top of Tommy, and that's basically the way you have to fight a guy like Thomas Hearns.
Well, Tom, let me tell you this first. Even though I didn't participate, I thoroughly enjoyed that first round. And I tell you, with so many punches thrown, it went both ways, side to side. Once you saw that Hagler suffered the cut, was that a target for you?
That was definitely a target for me, Ray. After I seen the cut, he was cut under the eye. That was a target for me to more so shoot for, to try to open the cut up more, for the referee to step in, to give the referee the opportunity to step in to stop the fight. You know, at that present time, you know, it was just a war. That first round, we just came out and we just really basically gave it all we had in that first round.
All right, the first round was a war. There's no question about it. Let's go back now. Watch the first round then from our ringside cameras, and we'll go through that first round with the two combatants and, of course, with the champ, our own champ, Sugar Ray Leonard. So let's go back. First round, Caesars Palace, April 15th. Tommy, did you intend for the pace to be this furious at the opening bell?
I expected it would be a pretty tough pace, but I didn't think it was going to be this fast. It was faster than I expected it to be. I figured I would come out just basically filling him out the first couple of rounds, just filling him out, seeing where I stand as far as the best punches should be thrown in the fight. And there, as you see, it came out to be a slugfest. It was just both of us going for what we knew, you know, just throwing good shots and taking good shots and coming back with some more.
Well, the way that I looked at it is this is what I had to do, as we know that Thomas always starts off very fast in every one of his fights. So basically we had to try to smother some of his punching power, especially his right hand, and keep the pressure right on Thomas.
Hey, Marvin, were you trying to silence the critics that stated that you're a slow starter, and the fact that Tommy Hearns is such a fast starter that it would be in his favor?
Well, it depends on really the style of the opponent, and with a guy like Thomas, very tall in that, as you know, for a shorter man, he definitely has to get in the inside of the much taller man. So basically, I try to work the body and just keep the pressure on Thomas, and no one likes to get hit. I think basically we had to establish our game plan and our punching power and the respect for each other in that first round.
Did Tommy hurt you?
No, I was never hurt in the fight. As you know, basically when I get hit, it only makes me come out a little bit stronger and tougher. And but I give Thomas a lot of credit because he did put me with a lot of great shots. But you know, I figured that this is what I had to do. I had to take some, wanted to give some.
Tommy, what was it like? What went through your mind the first right hand that you did hit Marvin with? And Marvin says he wasn't hurt, but in all honesty, I thought you did hurt him.
I was surprised. I was very surprised. I knew that I hit Marvin with a lot of good shots, and I felt that he was hurt. That's what made me react the way that I did, because you can sense when you hit a man with a good shot, and you see how he reacts after you hit him. You know that he's hurt. And after I hit him with a couple of good shots, I knew that he was hurt, so I went on in. I started pulling it on, started adding more shots, putting more combinations together.
Now, it was right in about here that you broke your hand.
In the field. When you see me, when I started to slow down, you know, not throwing the right hand with as much power, that's when I had, hurt my hand. It was more, I was throwing the punch, it was more of an arm punch then. It wasn't with putting the weight behind, shifting the weight. It was more shooting with the arm. See now, you see where I'm going over there? I'm looping it to the side like a hook. I'm trying to land on that big knuckle.
Marvin,
take some
as you know, this is basically just what we want, Thomas, in a slugfest with us, and that's the way that we had to, we trained for him to come out and anticipate that he would do that, and he done just exactly what we planned.
Well, if there's ever been a better round in the sport of boxing, somebody would have to show it to me. They don't come any better than that, I don't believe. How did the judging go? Well, it was mixed, as you might expect. 2 of the judges voted the round for the champion. 1 of the judges voted the round for the challenger, Thomas Hearns. How many punches were thrown in that first round? Nothing less than 165. 82 of them thrown by Marvin Hagler, 83 of them thrown by Thomas Hearns. That's the story of that round. Another interesting number, though. Thomas Hearns threw 22 jabs. You might have expected that in the first round. Marvelous Marvin Hagler, 0. And Marvin, I got to ask you about that. No jabs in the first round at all?
Well, basically, as you know, when I fought Roberto Duran, he would counter from every time that I would start the jab, and he would hit me with the right hand. So I assumed that Thomas has probably been watching some of the films and was going to try to do the same thing. So basically what I wanted to do was just establish my ground plan, try to work the body, and then get my distance together so that once I'm in the inside, and that's basically where I wanted to work.
Tommy, we all know you have a knockout punch. You know you have a knockout punch. Now, something strange had to be racing through your mind. You hit Hagler with the first right hand, and he was still standing. What were you thinking about?
Well, Ray, you know that I have a knockout punch. I know that I have a knockout punch, but Marvin didn't know that I had a knockout punch. You see, throughout the whole fight, it seems to me Marvin didn't know that I still had a knockout punch.
Tommy, you had said before the fight that you thought you might be able to hit Marvin when he changes from lefty to righty. Were you able to do that at all?
At times, you know, there was times that I was able to catch Marvin switching up, and when I saw him switching up, I was able to hit him with a hook right hand at times. And then at times, again, when he was switching up, he was able to punch off of the switch, so it probably gave me made it a little difficult for me at times.
Marv, you have a solid chin, a chin of rock. And you've been hit by some heavy fighters,
no,
heavy punches.
I think that's steel, right?
How would you rate Tommy punching power?
Definitely. He has a good right hand, no doubt about it. But I felt as though, which I told in the press, that Tommy was going to have to knock me out with that ring post. And I think that basically that was a psychological effect for me, and it was a good way of making it work. But believe you can see I'm still a little puffy here, but it was a good fight.
Well, Tommy, that's the only thing you forgot was the ring post. I'll tell you that.
Well, I'll tell you, I was looking for the ring post. It wasn't there.
Let's go back and take a look at round number 2. Las Vegas, Nevada, April 15th. This is the second round, and again, we talked on the air during the show itself, during the fight itself, about the pace of the first round. Now, Tommy, you said when we were talking off camera before, for all intent, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth here, but for all intent, your legs were gone by this time.
My legs, I think my legs was gone in the first round because, you know, before the fight even started, I was having problems with my legs. I was trying to shake them loose, trying to get loose, and my legs felt tired before the fight even started. And I was doing like leg exercises in the ring to try to loosen up my legs.
I have a question for both of you. This appeared to be a very emotional fight. In other words, you're abandoning your skills and you're off balance a great deal. What was going through your mind? Were you just trying to get the fight over with in the first round?
Well, as you know myself, I'm switching from righty to lefty, and I'm looking for an opening shot, and I think that I confused Tommy a little bit. So when he started moving around the ring, as you know, I would throw the outside hooks at him, still keeping the pressure on him, keeping him moving the way that I wanted him to do, and still when he stopped to try to get him to get in that slugfest with me. That's where I felt as though that I would stand a much better chance instead of staying on the outside where he can pop me the way that he's doing right now.
Marvin, I've done your last 10 fights, and again, we talked about this a little bit ago before we were on the air. I don't ever remember seeing you breathing as heavy after one round of fighting as you did against Tommy Hearns than after 10 rounds of fighting in some of your other fights. That first round, I know you just couldn't have had that much left in the tank.
I think it was just one of those fights where you had to put everything into it at that certain moment without thinking beyond that. Every round was it. So I think that you just push that body as far as it can go, and I felt as though that I was in great condition, and I could have continued, no thing about it, but it was a very fast pace.
Well, Marvin, after you set for the cut, you were so intense. Was that a sign of desperation? Did you try to just get the fight over with?
Well, yes, because I have my title on the line, and I was hoping that the referee wouldn't get in there, and I see what Tommy is trying to do. He's trying to look for the cut, you know, with the jabs and with the right hand, try to bust the cut open. So basically, I try to keep the hand down, keep the hands up and the head down, and try to protect the cut as much as I could.
Tommy, I've never seen you with your hands down. What are you thinking then?
Ray, I'll tell you, Ray, I was tired, man. I was exhausted. You know, that first round just took everything that I had, man. I was really exhausted. Going back to the first round, going back after the first round, I was saying, damn, what round was this to myself? I said, was this the 8th or 9th round? You know, because it was like I put out so much, man. It's like we went 10 whole rounds.
Did his southpaw style bother you at all?
No, the southpaw style did not bother me because I was used to working with my sparring partners because they all was southpaw, so I was used to working with that style. I got adapted to that style.
Well, how do you feel right now? Walking back to your corner, how do you feel?
Tired.
A split decision amongst the judges in the first round. Dick Young scoring the round for the challenger Thomas Hearns. So too in the second round. 2 judges scoring the round for Marvelous Marvin Hagler, and Dick Young again judged it in favor of Thomas Hearns. So the fight still, for all intent, very much up for grabs. What about the punches? They were also very comparable. Not as many as the first round. 124 punches cumulatively between these two. 63 by Marvin Hagler, 61 by Thomas Hearns. Hagler landed more. He landed 32. Hearns landed only 26. Marvin, I have to ask you, in your corner, Goody Petronelli said to you, don't worry about the cut, just keep pumping. In all honesty, did you believe him?
Well, definitely, I realized, you know, what he meant. And that was to just keep the pressure on this guy and keep the punches flowing, you know, because we felt as though that Thomas was starting to tire a little bit. And we knew that we threw a lot of punches in that first round. Something had to give.
But Tommy, you didn't have the normal balance that you possess. In fact, one time you put both feet together. Were your legs weak? What happened?
Like I told you, Ray, before, my legs was gone, tired before I even got into the fight. And that's the reason why my balance wasn't as good as it usually be. I was having problems with my legs.
Well, Mom, did you notice that Tommy wasn't moving like he used to? Did you see he was getting weak?
Yeah, I thought so. Basically, because when I put the pressure on Thomas in the first round, he knew either you're going to have to fight or you're going to have to run like anything. And not take anything away from Thomas. I think that he fought the way that he had to. If he says that his legs were tired there, well, then that was great for me because then I was able to find the punching range which I needed.
Well, you've seen the first 2 rounds. They were sensational. What about round number 3? That was sensational for the champion. Let's go back to Las Vegas and the 3rd round.
Tommy, the start of the 3rd round, you looked to be rejuvenated. Did you find your second win, or is this just basically instinct now?
Basically, I have to say that was basically just instinct. I never did find a second win. I was trying to locate it. It was somewhere in the arena, wandering around the arena. I was just basically just going to go to the box and I just move from side to side, sticking left jab out there. And that's basically what I started off doing.
Well, as myself, you see that I'm basically now putting things together now and keeping the pressure on him. He's not moving around and not moving away from me as fast as he was in the first and second round.
Did his movement bother you, Hagler?
No, not much. Basically, this is what I've been doing, but the holding in the back of the head was kind of unfair, so I had to get my job done in there. I thought the referee didn't let me fight enough in the inside the way I should have been. And, I was just worried about the cut. Basically, I knew I had to go head on and end this fight as quick as I could.
Now, what are your thoughts right here, Marvin, when Richard Steele motioned you over to the doctor?
I thought that was wrong. I thought, the blood wasn't in my eyes. It wasn't serious, and I could have continued. And, I felt as though we had about a minute or so left in that round, so I didn't see any reason for him stopping. I thought basically he was looking more in the favor of Thomas, so, I got a little upset about it.
That right hand right there seemed to start Tommy on his way. Do you agree with that?
Yes, it did, and I think I was from the southpaw style, and then I turned to a right-handed. And that's when I dropped the boom on him.
And there it is right there, a good shot.
Right here, switch right-handed, I think.
And that was pretty much that. And I won't even ask you, Tommy, at this point, what's going through your mind, because I'm sure what's going through your mind is survival.
We should tell you that the official time, 1 minute and 49 seconds, not 2 minutes and 1 second, as was originally announced. And the reason for that, well, they forgot to deduct the time that Dr. Donald Romeo was looking at the eye of Marvin Hagler.
And I knew I didn't make the count. I got up at count of 9. So I knew that the fight was going to be stopped, because I wasn't, when I did stand up, I wasn't in complete control of myself, my body.
Marvin, your first thoughts when you knew you won the fight?
Well, the first thing, I was kind of glad that the referee did stop the fight, that it was over, because I think if they would have let Tommy back out there, I probably would have hurt Tommy very seriously. And we don't need no things like that. He's doing his job out there. I got a job to do, and I think it was an extraordinary fight. And as we said, and Thomas said both, the people really got their money's worth out of that night. They came to see a fight, and that's definitely what they seen.
No losers in this fight, I have to tell you.
I think that they did come to see a good fight, and I think that they got their money worth and more out of this fight. I just hope that we can do it again, have a rematch, and be able to do it once again.
Or for more money.
Well, it was a great fight. How good a fight? I'll give you an idea. Let's take a look at some of the final numbers. 173 punches were thrown by Marvin Hagler. 166 punches were thrown by Thomas Hearns. That is an average of 1 punch every 1.38 seconds. It doesn't come any better than that. Marvin, look into the crystal ball now. What's down the road for you?
Well, basically, I'm going to probably take another fight by the end of the year, and probably 3 fights maybe next year, and then think about giving up the game of boxing. Boxing's been very good to me, and I think that I've done an excellent job for it itself. And I'm concentrating on the movie aspect and commercials and endorsement.
Tom, you stated earlier that you were contemplating retirement. Then you mentioned rematch. Is it tough to make a decision now?
At this present time, Ray, it's very tough for me to make the decisions. I think about it periodically, each and every day, quite a bit, and it's just hard for me to make up my mind what I really want to do. But in all due, I'm sure that I probably would love to have a rematch.
Well, Thomas Hearns, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, let me thank you both for taking the time, Tommy. I know it's not easy to go back over this ground. And to you, Marvin Hagler, great champion, great night. Thanks very much to both of you.
Thank you. I'd like to also thank HBO for giving us this opportunity to point our view of it.
Our air is your air. Let me tell you that.
Right.
Ray, have you ever seen a better one than that one?
Well, I tell you, the fans could appreciate that fight. So much class, so much determination. Both of those guys, class act.
You know, I really think when people look back on this one, they're going to say that April 15th, 1985 was the night that Marvelous Marvin Hagler got his just due as a champion, and I think they're going to say Thomas Hearns was a great challenger. There were no losers in this one. We want to remind you to join us on May 5th when HBO Sports presents the Not-So-Great Moments in Sports. Our host for that one, our pal, Tim McCarver. For now, and for Sugar Ray Leonard, Larry Merchant, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, and Thomas Hearns, I'm Barry Tompkins saying so long from New York.
The executive producer of HBO Sports is Tim Brain. The Hagler-Hearns telecast was produced by Ross Greenberg and directed by Mark Payton. The associate producers were Rick Bernstein and Linda Jackson Christian. The associate directors, Mike Whalen and Peter DiPaolo. The production manager was Angela Mancuso. And the assistant to the producer was Dave Harmon. I'm a fighter.
But I found me right. Yes, I was born on the wrong side. I've been pushed around so long it's hard to see. Just one thing is gonna do to me. Just one more chance, yeah, to pay